Thank you, WST, for the introduction. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to present about our view from Permata Bank regarding Indonesia economic outlook in 2022, promoting recovery amidst Fed's normalization policy. So, as Dr. Kopsak mentioned earlier, that we are heading to the end of the tunnel. I think Indonesian economy also experience the same. Yeah, so we are heading to the end of the tunnel. Some points that I would like to cover today is about the global and financial market updates, and the second one is regard to the domestic economic updates, including also the selected industry overview and our analysis for the next year, and then 2022 macroeconomic forecast, and the fifth one is the fiscal and government policy, and last one is regarding to the monetary policy and banking sector. So as Dr. Kopsak mentioned earlier, that we are still heading to the end of the tunnel, but some global risks are expected to remain in 2022. From the US, as Dr. Kopsak mentioned, about tapering and increasing the Fed fund rates, including also the debt ceiling. From the Europe also, or based on our analysis, there also we need to anticipate the tapering from ECB and Bank of England. And from the China, there are also some downside risks, related to the Evergrande default risk and also China's medium-term economic slowdown. This is also related to the China's structural change from export-oriented to domestic economy-oriented. And lastly, there is also some downside risk coming from the fluctuation commodity prices, supply side disruption, and also stagflation. The increasing energy crisis also have been driven by the recovery in global economy. In addition to that, also some shortage in containers globally has led to the increasing in the container cost. And I think we have already experienced producer price index, wholesaler price index in some countries, including Indonesia, already have experienced increasing trend. And then how this global risk could impact to Indonesian economy. We believe that the tapering and also increasing in Fed fund rate could lead to the rising volatility in financial market. Particularly in details, we would see the decrease in capital flows, an increase in safe haven asset purchase, strengthening of US dollar, and also depreciation in EM currencies, including rupiah, and also an increase in bond yields. Apart of that, also the impact from China slowdown and also some disruption in globally also could lead to the disruption in domestic supply chain, which will impact the manufacturing sectors. Secondly, also global economic slowdown could experience, particularly because of China's slowdown. And the third one is the potential of imported inflation, due to the increasing in energy and food commodity prices, which potentially could drive inflation and increase subsidy. It also can increase the material costs, especially for import-dependent sectors. And last one is the increasing producer prices, which lead to the increasing import costs. So other than that, I think we are still facing the pandemic, for Indonesia itself. Fortunately, government currently have introduced in the state budget of 2022 that the government consider COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 not only as a pandemic but as an endemic. So I think we are heading hopefully to the end of the tunnel. So basically regarding the financial market, as Dr. Kopsak mentioned, in 2021, due to the expectation of tapering from the Feds and also accelerated in Fed fund rate hike, we've seen that some movement in US dollar against major currencies still going to the uptrend, meaning that the dollar tends to appreciate against major currencies. At the same time, also, emerging market currencies also experience depreciation. Yeah, but however, I can show you here that the rupiah depreciation is relatively lower compared to other emerging countries currencies. Yeah, meaning that we are know that the fundamental of Indonesian economy, yeah, since 2013, the last little crisis we experienced about the tapering tantrum, actually the government have been managing to encourage to support, to increase, and to improve the fundamental of Indonesian economy. And then, other than that, if you look at from the asset class, global asset class, as Dr. Kopsak mentioned as well, that on the back of expectation of global economic recovery, which leads to the corporate earnings increase. So we've seen also in this year that the stock performance actually outperform other products, yeah, or other asset class. Yeah, it can be shown here that the GCI, Jakarta Composite Index, appreciated around 11% so far as per last week. Regarding to the bond market, also we've seen that on the back of tapering a plan from the Fed and also expectation from the market regarding the U.S. interest rate going forward, we've seen that the U.S. Treasury yield increased so far around 72 basis point, while again Indonesian government bond yield currently increased by around 14 basis point. So I think relative to other government bond in emerging countries, I think the correction in the bond market in Indonesia, I think relatively smaller compared to other emerging countries. Yeah, this is basically related to the structure of the domestic investors in Indonesia, yeah, which has been increasing. Yeah, currently the foreign investors ownership to either government bond is relatively around 20 to 21%. So basically, this is relatively lower compared to the condition in 2013, which is currently at the time foreign ownerships on either government bond nearly about 30 to 35%. And related to the 2013 taper tantrum, yeah, what we've seen in 2013, actually we note that we study about the tapering process until the Fed fund rate hike, yeah, Fed fund rate hike. So basically, there are two episodes in the tapering process that could affect significantly to rupiah and also ideal bond yield. Yeah, but the first one is a tapering announcement, and the second one is the period after the end of tapering until the first rate hike. But what we've seen in 2021 this year, after the Fed already confirmed to start the tapering this month until midst of next year, actually the market has priced in the condition and there is no extraordinary reaction from the markets. So far, rupiah also has been manageable, stable around 14,200 until 14,300. The ideal bond yield also, although as per if we compare to the end of last year, the bond yield increased, but as I mentioned earlier also, the condition right now is relatively the bond market is still relatively stable. And I think there are some reasons why we don't expect another taper tantrum to happen this time round. Yeah. So what happened in 2013 is to event the taper and tantrum, but we expect in 2021 and 2022 there will be a taper with a tantrum. Yeah, because the Fed has been much more transparent in signaling its expected monetary policy path, communicating well in advance of major policy shift, and as a result, mitigating sharp financial market disturbances. And the second one, Asian emerging market countries have stronger economic fundamentals compared to 2013, including Indonesia, because we know that, as I mentioned earlier, also the foreign ownerships on either government bond is relatively already having declining yet. Yeah, so I think the impact of tapering will not that be as significant as as we experienced in 2013. And the third one is the pandemic has contributed to the shift in the balance of payment position in emerging Asia, which reduced the risk of sharp capital outflow. We noted that the economists in 2013 have categorized the fragile five, including Indonesia. But again, due to the structural reforms have been implemented by the government of Indonesia, also the financial stability have been managed by the regulators, Bank Indonesia, OJK, and also LPS. So we expect that the risk on the taper, the Feds, I think will be manageable for Indonesia. And so far, what we've seen from the foreign flows, yeah, although on the bond market, the foreign investors still posted outflow, or the ownerships is decreasing, but on the other hand, the foreign investors in the stock market still posted a net buy. Yeah. So we are moving to the Indonesian economy. So this is the snapshot for Indonesian economy indicators. First of all, regarding to the GDP growth, yeah, we've in line with our expectation that in the third quarter, Indonesian economy GDP will likely be lower compared to second quarter of this year. This is because of the resurgence of the COVID-19 cases in July and August, so that the government implemented the stricter restriction to the people mobility. Yeah, so that's why what we experienced in early of third quarter, the supply side and also the demand side have been disrupted again by the mobility restrictions. And from the inflation perspective also, we noted that the inflation as per October data, actually the inflationary pressure still below the BI's target, yeah, which is between 2 to 4%. Yeah. So this means that again, the demand side in 2021, I think, is limited. Yeah, and then this is also have been shown by the international organization like IMF, World Bank, and also ADB have lowered the 2021 GDP forecast for Indonesia and some countries, including China and India. Regarding to the external balance or external balance, so actually the trade balance, Indonesia experienced a big surplus. Yeah. So can you imagine in the last 2 months, the trade surplus recorded all-time high. Yeah, we've never seen this level amount of a big export performance compared to imports, and this is mainly because again the impact of commodity prices hikes and also the gradual improving in the export volume. So as I mentioned earlier, also the current account deficit in Indonesia is expected to remain low. Yeah, so that's why our foreign reserves increase in this year. Yeah, on the back of low current account deficit. And to be specific regarding to the Indonesian GDP, so also we already expected before that the second quarter this year, yeah, most countries, including Indonesia, experience the low base effect, meaning that we have discovered that the true level during pandemic happened in second quarter last year. So when the stimulus already works, and also the vaccination program also has been progressing. So basically, in the second quarter this year, actually there is more on low base effect. So we will see the real recovery in the second half of this year. And because of the resurgence in the third quarter, we experienced that slower recovery. Yeah. So basically, bottom line is the recovery in 2021 for Indonesia is not that as predicted. Yeah, because resurgence of COVID-19 cases. But hopefully, as also Dr. Cox mentioned earlier, that the vaccination rate in Indonesia currently maybe nearly almost 50%, yeah, including the first doses and first dose and second doses. I think we are taking into account the big amount of population. I think we are heading to the right track for governments, yeah. And then the biggest two engines of growth in Indonesia, yeah, for example, that are private consumption and also investment, yeah. We've seen that in the third quarter have been declining, yeah. So, but we expect next year, yeah, due to the pent-up demand, also due to the herd immunity, yeah, because government expected that the herd immunity could be achieved next year. So we expect that the people mobility also try to do in a good directions, meaning that the consumer confidence will improve, and also the consumption also, whether on durable and non-durable goods, I think will also improve. The second is investment. This is related to the, as I mentioned, the structural reform have been introduced by the government. Last year, during the pandemic, the government of Indonesia, different from other countries in Asia actually, the government have introduced the omnibus law on job creation. Yeah. So basically, the government of Indonesia not only concerned about this short-term economic recovery, but also the government of Indonesia also concerned about the structural reform for the medium to longer term of Indonesian economy. Because of when the government initiated this omnibus law on job creation, actually this will attract for investment, because we know that the impact of pandemic have been leading to the increase in the poverty rates, increasing of the unemployment rate. So basically, we need to attract investments, yeah, to open up the real sectors, businesses. So in order to again to increase the GDP per capita. So going forward, we expect that in a medium to longer term, yeah, based on government's initiative, that by 2045, yeah, 2045, we are already in the developed countries. Yeah. So this is basically if we analyze very into detail, yeah, about the private consumption. So basically, private consumption in Indonesia is mainly driven by food and beverages consumption, followed by transportation and communication. This is related to the leisure economy, and the third one is equipments, household equipments. Yeah, amongst the components of private consumption last year, only 3 components that have posted a positive growth last year. The first one is food beverages. This is related to the basic needs for Indonesian people. And the third one is household equipments, because most of the people last year also experiencing working from home. Yeah, so basically they try to buy something to decorate their, to renovate their housing. Yeah, to make a new hobby. Yeah, like in which can be done at home. And the third one is health and education. This is related to the how the spending of people in Indonesia to spend more on health, meaning that for medicines and also from other related to the vitamins, yeah, in order to strengthen their immunity. And those 2 sectors on or components in private consumption that have been experience negatively, those are transportation and communication and restaurant and hotel. These two sectors are really related to the tourism sectors. So that's why what we've seen in the 2021, not so many sectors in Indonesia have recovered. So we experienced the K-shaped recovery, yeah, in Indonesia economic sectors, meaning that some sectors have recovered faster, but some other sectors will be a slow starter, including related to the tourism sectors. And there are so many leading indicators in private consumption that show that indicated that private consumption will likely to improve, yeah, in the first quarter and to be continued in the next years, yeah. And this also can be seen that the automotive sales, both in four-wheeler and two-wheeler sales, also have been increased compared to 2020 level, however, still below than 2019 level. Also regarding to inflation, we would see that inflation will likely to increase next year, yeah, to nearly to the pre-pandemic level, yeah, to around 2.5 to 2.8%. This is related to the impact of VAT tariff hike due to the harmonization on tax law, yeah, have been introduced couple 2 months 2 months ago, yeah. This will contribute to the inflation, and the second one is pent-up demand. And I think the other inflationary pressure coming from the pass-through of the increasing in the producer price index and also wholesale price index. Regarding to investment, also in the third quarter and also from the second quarter, I think investment have been recovered, yeah, particularly in machinery and equipments, because related to the commodity sectors, mining sectors and also plantation sectors, I think they managed to invest more on heavy equipments, yeah. So that's why as per January to September data, actually heavy equipment sales increased by 84% this year. And this is related to the prospect of Indonesian investment. I think Indonesian investment is still lucrative, yeah, for foreign investors and also domestic investments. As I mentioned earlier, also Indonesia are experiencing the bonus demographic, yeah, until 2030. So I think as the biggest economy in ASEAN, so I think Indonesian economy, I think, is one of the lucrative country to invest. This is why can be seen here during pandemic, the domestic direct investment and also foreign direct investment still posted positive growth, yeah, that I think cannot be seen in other countries, but in Indonesia, based on BKPM data, that the foreign direct investment and domestic direct investment increased during the pandemic. Related to the sectorals, yeah, so I can show you that there are 4 big sectors in Indonesia that contributed most of the economy. The first one in manufacturing, the second one is agriculture, the third one is wholesale and retail trade, and the fourth one is construction. But amongst those 4 sectors, only one sector that could posted positive growth last year, that is agriculture, yeah, because agriculture is mainly is less affected by this pandemic, and then the pandemic have very significant impact to the manufacturing, to the construction, and to also to the wholesale and retail trade. But we also notice related to the private consumption components, as I mentioned earlier, the consumption on tourism related to transportation and also hotel restaurant. From the supply side also, we have experienced the same, yeah. The transportation and storage decline last year, and also including to accommodation and food service activity. But for this year, we've seen that the most transportation and also accommodation and food service activity, which is related to hotel restaurant, I think already have recovered. But the recovery rate, I think, compared to other sectors, I think is very limited. And I also noticed that there are 2 service sectors in Indonesia which outperformed last year. Those are information and communication. This is related to digital economy. just mentioned also by Dr. Kopsak that actually the digital economy have been increasing in Indonesia and also in Southeast Asia thanks to the 2019 pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, because by this pandemic also we need to be agile, to transform digitally from conventional or from offline to online transaction. And the second one is related to the health sector. So basically those two sectors, although the contribution to the economy is relatively low, but the performance of those sectors are outperformed. And related to the spatial growth, we also noticed that last year, actually, most of the provinces in Indonesia have experienced negative growth, particularly related to the tourism, like in Bali, West Nusa Tenggara, and also Yogyakarta have experienced a deeper contraction compared to other provinces. And I think amidst the pandemic last year, also we noted that there are also still 3 provinces in Indonesia that could grow positively. Those are Central Sulawesi, the second one is North Maluku, and the third one is Papua. Those provinces are related to the investments in the nickel upstreaming, downstreaming in nickel. So basically, that's related to the battery industry, to support the global value chain for electric vehicle. So that's so basically, if we go to the forecast, Indonesian economy in 2020-2021, we still expect around 3.6%, but for the next year we still expect around 4.7%. It depends on how the government also can speed up the implementation of job creation law, because if the investment coming faster than our expectation, it could be higher to around 5%. And regard to inflation, we still expect around 2.5 to 2.8%. And the BI policy rate, with regard to the expectation of higher inflation, BI could potentially consider a rate hike at the end of next year, by 25 basis points. But BI also can decide to maintain policy rate when the inflation remain under control and also rupiah still manageable. And for rupiah itself, we expect for the next year rupiah will be slightly weaker compared to this year because of the tapering process and also expectation of rate hike next year. So we expect rupiah will be slightly weaker. This is also based on our expectation that current account deficit will likely could be higher next year. So maybe I will jump directly to the our industry analysis. So in 2022 we expect that the entire industry will recover gradually. This is in line with the improvement in global economic domestic economy. The lower number of COVID-19 cases in all regions, and also the relaxation of mobility restriction. I think this is the key points why we think that the increasing demand of industrial products will happen next year. But some challenges we need to anticipate, regarding to the industry performance. The first one is tapering and possible of interest rate hike, and then which could potentially strengthen the US dollar, because the stronger US dollar will depress the performance of industry that rely on imported raw materials, and its product is aimed at the domestic market. So basically, the revenue is rupiah, but the obligation they have in the US dollar. So this will be weighed by the stronger dollar. And the second one is the increase in interest rates. Also has potential to increase the financial expense of the industry. The third one is price of raw materials and energy globally are increasing. So as an effect, production costs of industry will increase going forward. Industry players may pass through the increase in raw materials prices to consumer, which led to the inflation again. However, in condition of economic recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic, we estimate that consumers' ability to absorb price increases will be limited. And the fourth one, the supply chain problem at the global level does not appear to be waning. Yeah, logistic problems due to the availability of containers could hamper the flow of raw materials in worldwide. Yeah, in addition to that, also the issue of semiconductors, which are the raw materials for the world's major industries, especially automotive and electronics, also could hamper the rate of increase the output of processing industry. And the last one is the implementation of carbon tax in 2022 by the government is also expected to increase industrial production costs. Furthermore, the carbon tax effect on industry would worsen if other countries have not fully implemented this carbon tax. Yeah. So basically, I will just point out some industry, yeah, which is we think that this industry still lucrative and potential to invest. The first one is petrochemical. Yeah, what we've seen here that several indicators of petrochemical industry show improvement in 2021. Yeah? Polyethylene and polypropylene import volume recorded a cumulative increase from January to September. Yeah. In addition to that, also, however, in the third quarter, the petrochemical industry was slightly disturbed due to the mobility restrictions. Yeah, but we expect that in next year, yeah, the demand for petrochemical product will recover gradually, yeah, along with the economic recovery. However, the challenge for the petrochemical industry is the naphtha price increase, yeah, due to the global oil price index, global price increase. Yeah, in addition to that, also the potential of weaker rupiah due to tapering also could pose a risk of increasing production costs. Yeah, because most of the raw materials in petrochemical industry are imported. The second sector is automotive. Yeah. Also, as I mentioned earlier, that automotive sales in Indonesia in 2021 have recovered. Yeah. So basically, cumulative January to September, actually, four-wheeler sales recorded 68%, while in the two-wheeler sales recorded increase about 31%. Yeah. But we expect in the next year, yeah, both four-wheeler and two-wheeler sales, I think will recover faster, but still will not reach the pre-pandemic level for four-wheeler. Basically, before pandemic, the normal situation is 1 million. We still expect below 1 million, around 906,000 units, and then for two-wheeler sales, we expect around 5.17 million units. Yeah. And the third one is cement industry. Yeah, this is very related to the construction and also property sector in Indonesia. As I mentioned earlier, also the cumulative cement sales in 2021 have recovered. Yeah, so basically the demand is driven by property and also constructions. And as we also note that the government still allocate for a big amount of infrastructure projects next year. So I think this is very also related to the expectation of positive growth in cement industry. The fourth one is poultry sectors. Yeah, this is also poultry sectors performance was better also in 2021 compared to 2020. Yeah, the poultry sector still grow around 2.5%. Yeah, again in the third quarter, most of the sectors have down slightly, but we expect going forward for the livestock industry will recover. Yeah, again, several indicators have improved. Yeah, due to the relaxation in mobility. Yeah, and also this is in line to the poultry industry. The food and beverages retail sales index also have been increasing in the last 2 months. The last one is coal mining. Yeah, this is coal mining. So we examine the movement on coal price. So until November 8th, the average of coal price was recorded around $132 per ton. Yeah, higher than average in 2020, which is only $60.3 per ton. Yeah, and as Dr. Kopsak mentioned, also we also expected that the increase in the coal prices will likely to normalize. Yeah. At least in the first half, or as early in the first half next year, or early in the second half next year. Yeah, but we estimate the price in the coal prices, yeah, will still relatively high, yeah, because the correction in the coal price will not return to its lowest level in 2020, yeah, because the coal demand has started to recover in line with the global economic recovery. And then, yeah, I think we in general, yeah, we expect that the economy from the supply side and demand side will recover faster in 2022, yeah, because the government, yeah, Bank Indonesia, OJK, have been implemented such accommodative policies, yeah, in 2020 until 2021. So we expect that Indonesian economy also is heading to the end of the tunnel. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.